Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the functional trainer seated row, and we're going to be taking a supinated grip with this exercise. It is an incredible exercise for your back, and it's going to also indirectly be working your biceps. The first thing you're going to want to do is set up your cable height to your hip height or a little bit lower. And I'm just showing you guys how to move it here, and then you want to put your rotation arm between a 2 and a 4. So whatever your shoulder width is, that's what you would choose. And then you want to make sure that you choose the appropriate the appropriate weight. So make sure you start off light and then slowly start to increase the weight every other week or so. Once you do that, sit down on a bench, sitting up nice and tall and far enough back to where you can fully extend and the weight doesn't hit each other. And then also what you want to be focusing on is driving the elbows back as well as allowing the stretch to take place by bringing your shoulders forward. And then also make sure that you keep your core tight and your chin tucked. But before we continue with more tips, here's a word from today's video sponsor.
I'm today's video sponsor, and if you'd like help losing fat or gaining muscle, there are a few ways I can help you down below. Either set up a free consultation with us, purchase through one of our free affiliate links, or purchase one of our instant access affordable training programs. Can't wait to be of service to you. Now let's get back to the rest of the video.
The main thing we want to focus on is making sure that we allow the scapula to move freely. So when you're doing any supinated rows, you will need to make sure your elbows stay tucked in. You do not want your elbows flaring out. And then with that said, let's focus on the scapular part. So the scapular protraction and retraction portion is right here. So whenever you're allowing the weight to come away from you, your shoulders have to round forward. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to round your back. It's just you have to make sure that your scapula can open up and stretch. And that's important because that's what's going to give you the full range of motion when it comes to doing this movement safely. Because that's all your back is. Like whenever you retract your scapula, that's how you work your back. So the opposite of that has to be also implemented when it comes to the stretch, because then that way you can activate more muscle fibers. Now, as you're contracting and retracting the scapula or bringing your shoulders back as far as you can with your elbows, you have to make sure that you contract by doing that, and you have to sit up to do that. You can't like bend over and do it. I mean, you probably can, but it's just not comfortable at all. And also when you're adding weight to the movement, it makes it way more effective, but it also makes it way more dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Another thing that I want you guys to focus on is also making sure that your chin stays tucked. You do not want to be looking up when you're doing this exercise. Make sure that you're looking forward the whole time. Even if you look down a bit, that's way more safer than looking up, because even if you did this now with no weight or tension on your body, looking upward, you're going to feel it in the back of your neck. So obviously avoid that. Also notice the tempo at which I'm doing the exercise is nice and controlled. I'm not using momentum. I'm not leaning back while I'm doing my row. And just because you see a lot of people doing that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for you. Make sure that you do it correctly. You can benefit from this exercise as safely as possible. So here's some common mistakes I want you to avoid. Don't lean back while you're doing your rows. Also, don't do half reps. Go all the way back and then all the way forward without changing the angle of your torso. Next common mistake that I usually see is people looking up. So we want to avoid that. Keep your chin tucked. Just look forward. That way you don't place any unnecessary stress on your neck. Also, when you're doing rows with supinated hand position, do not drive your elbows out to the side. Keep them tucked in. Then also keep your neck straight. You don't want it coming forward like this. And then lastly, you want to make sure that we're sitting up straight and we're not rounding over like this.